recording button, and I'm going to turn this meeting over to Lou Brown, our Toastmaster of the day. And Lou, I will be giving you the host controls so that you can mute everybody if they misbehave.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. President. I love having the power. Welcome, everybody, to Monday night in the U.S., possibly Tuesday morning in Australia. Online presenters, Toastmasters. We have a very full agenda today, so let's get things started real quickly. First, we have a number of supporting roles that help me to run the meeting. Now, I'm going to dispense with asking the folks in those roles to tell me or tell the whole club what those roles are about, since we do have 3 speakers today. So I'd really like you to focus your time on giving your reports. However, just to make sure I have the lineup correct, because I know there's been some last minute changes, I just want to make sure I have everything in order. Our counter I now have as Chris Gold, timer as Fabiola, grammarian is still Lois, watcher is Christian, vote counter is Graham, and chat monitor is Jim Gold. If I have any of those incorrect, please unmute yourself and let me know right now. Otherwise, we will, and by the way, I did want to ask, I did note that we are all seasoned Toastmasters, so that's why we do know about these particular meeting roles. But if anyone is not a seasoned Toastmaster, meaning you are here as a guest for the first time perhaps, or please raise your hand so I'll know. I do not see that, so perfect. Okay, let's get going. Because as I
Lou, we do have some guests visiting who are just getting introduced.
A guest who is not a seasoned Toastmaster. I recall Amari saying he is a CC or CTM, I believe at the time of name, whichever is the first 10 speeches.
And I think Dagmara said she was also interested, but had not been actively participating just yet.
Are you a seasoned Toastmaster, Dagmara? I'm sorry, did you?
Okay, I unmute myself. Unfortunately, no. I just been for a few months in Concordia University Club here in Montreal, and I just managed to do only one speech.
Okay, but you have been to a club, so you are familiar with the various roles we
have. Yes, I attended there for around 4 months.
Okay, so that's great because that way you're familiar with the roles. My objective is really just to make sure everyone knew their roles, because we have some lengthy speeches today, and I actually want to stay a little ahead of time because when we have 3 speakers and some of them are lengthy, we tend to get behind. So let's kick it off right away with our speaker number 1, who is David, our president, David Carr. He will be speaking from the Speaking to Inform manual, the demonstration talk. He will be evaluated by Toastmaster Scott Johnston, who should be with us today. Before I ask Scott to give us the objectives of the speech, I would like to ask Fabiola, what are the timing parameters for David's 5 to 7 minute speech?
At 5 minutes, I will be showing the green. At 6 minutes, the yellow. And at 7, red.
Thank you, Toastmaster Fabiola. For those who would like to see Fabiola, as well as Dave, one way to do that is to right-click on Fabiola's Hollywood Square and select Pin Video. That way it will pin the timer and you'll be able to see her. However, since Dave will be presenting, you'll also want to see Dave's screen. So I haven't quite figured out how to pin a video as a little square. Maybe Dave can show us that someday. In any event, I meant to ask our evaluator for Dave's speech, Scott Johnston. Please give us the objectives for Dave's speech.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. David's objectives are to prepare a demonstration speech, to clearly explain a process, product, or activity, conduct a demonstration as part of a speech delivered without notes. And you have the time already. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thanks, sir. Before I give Dave's introduction, I did want to just let folks know, and I apologize, Lois, for not actually asking you to do this one little part, is the word of the day. Lois, you want to just actually give us that real quick and a little bit about the word of the day?
Absolutely, Mr. Toastmaster of the day. The word of the day is deciduous. It is a tree or shrub shredding its leaves annually, and I, for one, am looking forward to visiting my daughter in North Carolina and seeing the beautiful deciduous trees. Use the word often, frequently, and I will be sure to keep track of it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Lois. In web marketing, a landing page is a web page focused on a specific outcome or call to action without distractions from that goal. David will share recent updates to his RSVP Maker software for WordPress to facilitate landing page creation. Please welcome Toastmaster David Carr with creating a landing page with RSVP Maker. Toastmaster David Carr.
All right. Thank you, Lou. Hopefully I'm unmuted, right? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So RSVP Maker is a plugin for WordPress that I've used for a number of my own web development projects, particularly for things that are oriented around community events, or particularly getting people to sign up for things. And you've used it if you came to this club as a guest at some point. But this is what a default RSVP Maker installation looks like. On the events page, we can have a layout of a calendar and then followed by a listing of events. And these are sort of like blog posts, except that they're listed by the date that the event is coming up. And if you want registrations, you click on the RSVP Now button and you fill out the form with your information and click Submit. And I'm not going to do that right now. But one of the things I wanted to show was how you take an RSVP Maker event and build more of a landing page around it. So a landing page concept is really to focus people on the call to action without giving them any unnecessary distractions. So this is the promotion for several different events that we have coming up. And I'm using this as a proof of concept for the approach. So it's just a little bit of text about the event, and you can scroll down and fill out the form. And if you don't want to sign up for this event, we're trying to get you to sign up for something. So there are a couple of other events that are promoted here too. But if we looked at the default page on our website, we would see many other things that we could click away to. Click away to other events, click away to blog posts. And then actually it's a little bit extra complicated because this is a Toastmasters meeting and we're trying to sign people up for additional roles. So what I want to do is provide people with that same opportunity to sign up for the event with fewer distractions that might get them off track. And so I'm using this in combination with posts to Facebook, where I'm saying that people should go to this address, toastmasters.org/workshops, and get to that page and sign up. So how do we set this up? So here's, for demonstration purposes, what I've done is I've taken that same content and I put it in the regular default page format. So again, we have some other links that we could click away to that might be distracting. So we want to get rid of those. And we also want to add those specific elements, such as the registration form and those RSVP Now buttons. And this is stuff that is new in RSVP Maker as of just the other week. There are a couple of special buttons that the plugin adds to the WordPress editor. If I click the calendar button, it gives me the option to insert the whole calendar with some options. But instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, select a specific event. And I could include the whole event, including the form, but actually what I want to do here is just the form. So the form only. And it's going to insert a little placeholder code there for where that form is going to go. And I'll do something similar with Darren's event. But here I just want only the button. And for Cheryl, we want, again, only the button. Okay. So we'll update that and take a look at where that leaves us. And actually, one of the things that I did in the previous demo, I forgot to turn off, is there's also a little checkbox down here where we can hide the menu at the top of the page. I turned that off so we can see what this would look like without too much further customization of the layout. Okay, so now this is a little bit more focused. It has just a brief blurb and the picture and the RSVP Now form. And then if we scroll down, we would see the buttons. Oh, Cheryl, I apparently didn't click the right thing. I'll have to go back and fix that. But also there's still a few too many distractions here that we might want to try and get beyond. So try that one more time. This should be the button only. Okay. All right. Now, I'm going to do one thing that's not quite as drag and drop. I'm going to go into the code view here and add just a little bit of formatting code to break this up into two columns. You could also use, there are what are called page builders for WordPress that allow you to do fancier layouts. I usually find it just as easy to do the code, but that's because I'm more comfortable with code. And the final thing we're going to do is we're going to change this to a special landing page template that has larger default fonts. And if we go out, we should see that we now have a more focused page that brings us just to the form or just to those RSVP Now buttons. And hopefully that is going to convert some people from viewers to visitors to our club. Mr. Toastmaster.
Sorry, I forgot my video. Thank you, Toastmaster Dave. Very impressive. Bear with me one moment while I get to my agenda. Very good. Our next speaker is Toastmaster Viviana. She will be speaking from the technical presentations manual, the technical briefing. Her evaluator is Toastmaster Christian. Now, first, we have different timing parameters and for Dave's speech. So, Toastmaster Fabiola, please give us the timing parameters for Viviana's speech.
Okay, for Viviana, we have at 8 minutes the green card, and at 9 minutes the yellow, And at 10, the red one.
Wonderful. Thank you, Toastmaster Fabiola. Christian, Toastmaster Christian, please give us the project objectives for Viviana's speech.
Thank you,
If you
Mr.
have them.
Toastmaster. So, Toastmaster Viviana, your objectives are to use a systematic approach, organize technical material into a concise presentation, and to tailor the presentation to the audience's needs, interest, and knowledge level. Over to you.
Thank you, Christian. Viviana is going to explain steps in marketing funnel, benefits, and its implementation for building your career, business, or organization. Please welcome Toastmaster Viviana with Marketing Funnel. Marketing Funnel, Toastmaster Viviana.
Thank you, Lou. Good morning, good evening, and good day, fellow online presenters and guests. My presentation today is about marketing funnel. So I'm building marketing funnel for myself, and I'm also building the structure of marketing funnel for my clients. Who have heard about marketing funnel? Please raise your left hand. Great. Who have not heard about marketing funnel? Please raise your right hand. And who are interested to learn about marketing funnel? Please raise both hands. So great. So what can you expect from my presentation today? By the end of presentation today, you will know the steps in marketing funnel, the benefits, and I hope that you can implement it for your business, career, or your organization. So what is marketing funnel? So this is the funnel in my kitchen made of plastic. So I use this funnel to transport the liquid to the bottle with a small spot, so the liquid won't spill everywhere. So based on the funnel, the definition of marketing funnel is to attract people's attention, to enter into our funnel. While they stay in our funnel, we build relationship, so the relationship can grow stronger and deeper. Do you like to chase people? I don't like to chase people. I don't like begging. For example, sir, please buy my products. Or threaten people. Miss, join my club. So the benefits of marketing funnel is as a bridge to build a long-term relationship. So it is designed to convert from potential customers into loyal customers. And second is we can build the list. What type of list? The list of potential customers, of course. Now I will show you the steps in marketing funnel. The top layer, what could it be? So it is drive, traffic, and attract. So we can make a social media post or advertising to create awareness. So people visit our website and sign up to our offer. Second, once they sign up, they are in our funnel. We try to engage and educate them. We can share tips, ideas, information, and also to ask them questions and their opinions. And the third is trust. Once they receive emails from us, we engage and educate them, they trust into our organization or business, and they will follow us closely. They read our emails. And the fourth layer is conversion. Once they trust us, we try to convert them into a paying customer or ask them to join as a member. And then loyalty. Once they benefit from our products or services, they become a loyal customer. So they will buy product based on continuity. And the last is advocacy. Once they are loyal, they become the messenger. They will spread the word, and they refer their friends to our product or services. Now you are clear about the steps in marketing funnel. How does the implementation look like? So this is the example of my marketing funnel. So this is my website and blog. On the top, I put it a form for people to sign up with their name and email. What made them want to sign up? So we need to be a go-giver, to give something like digital products, video, MP3, or ebook or PDF. So once they sign up, they can download our gift. So this is the example of my client's marketing funnel. So she is a holistic health practitioner and trainer, and she's giving her ebook for people to exchange with their name and email. And I can also attach the marketing funnel at the end of my article. So I put a nice visual image here for people to sign up. So maybe you wonder, where do the database go to? So we store all the database inside the email marketing software. Here are the 4 popular email marketing software, and I have tried all of them, but currently I'm using MailChimp. Now, maybe you want to know what is the implementation look like in other organizations. So this is, even the church also need funnel to grow their members. So these are the steps in the church funnel. So you can have different names for the steps as long as the concept is the same, is to build a long-term relationship. And this is the idea of my Toastmaster funnel. The first layer is invitation. We invite people to come to our meeting, and then when they experience our meeting, we try to give them the best experience and the atmosphere. And then once they experience, we try to convert them into members. Once they become member, we mentor and encourage them to have achievements in communication and leadership track. So once they have achievements, we encourage them to contribute, for example, to become the executive committee. And later on, once their loyalty goes deeper, they can become the evangelist or messenger to encourage Toastmaster to other people who do not know about Toastmaster. So I hope that you get the benefit from my presentation today about the marketing funnel, and I hope that you can implement it in your career, in your business, in your organization, and even in your Toastmaster club. Back to you, Lou.
Thank you, Viviana. And David, screen sharing, how does that get back to? Oh, there we go. Thank you, Viviana. Our third and final speaker is Toastmaster Norman Dow. He will be speaking from the storytelling manual, The Touching Story. His timing parameters are also different from the other two speeches, 6 to 8 minutes. Toastmaster Fabiola, please give us the timing sequence for 6 to 8 minute speech, please.
That will be at 6, we will get the green sign, at 7, the yellow one, and at 8, the red one.
Thank you, Toastmaster Fabiola. Norman will be evaluated by Toastmaster John Quick. John, please give us the speech objectives for Norman's presentation.
Thank you, Toastmaster. Today, Norman's going to tell us a touching story, and the biggest part of that is arousing emotion through his descriptions, through the characters he describes, the dialogue. He's going to give us a very emotional story.
Awesome. Thank you, Toastmaster John. Griots are West African storytellers, musicians, and oral historians. This is a story of how an ancient communicator assesses a modern communication. Please welcome Toastmaster Norman Dow with A Griot's Journey. A Griot's Journey, Toastmaster Norman Dow.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day. About 300 years ago, there was a gathering of griots somewhere in West Africa. There was a palpable sense of excitement in the air. This day, one of their number was going to be chosen to take a special trip. He was going through the time tunnel to see how griots' counterparts in another time, in another place, chose to communicate. Who would be chosen? What would he learn? When the time came, Kwame was blessed to be chosen. Eagerly, he walked into the time tunnel and was immediately transported to the 21st century in America. Kwame found himself in the conference room, looking at the vice president of public relations for an internet marketing firm, Chad. Chad had been told that he would have the unique opportunity to brief Kwame on how communication evolved to the Web 2.0 offerings that were so important to his company. After exchanging pleasantries, Chad launched into an overview of communications history. He talked about how letters and how they used to be sent. He described how they had been delivered by hand, by ship, by ponies, and even airplanes. He then spoke about the telegraphs and telephones, but he spent most of his time describing modern communications, email, texting, even something called tweeting. Kwame listened attentively, and then he started asking a series of questions. What about storytelling, he asked. Chad looked at him. He mentioned that storytelling was primarily used by people who were training kids, elementary school teachers, librarians, and the such. They related tales and folk tales, but not for adults. He talked about how modern communicators were so advanced that they were connected 24/7. Wherever they went, they were able to be connected and to communicate. Kwame looked at him quizzically. He asked, well, how can you convey deep meanings of culture, your faith, and values in 140 characters? I can't understand how that would work. Chad just didn't understand. He kept on talking about how advanced the 24/7 communications was. Kwame just shook his head. Emerging from the time, soon, Kwame entered the time tunnel. And as he entered the time tunnel, he went back to the griots that were meeting. They were eagerly awaiting him to see what he had learned, what about this place in the future. When Kwame got there, he told them they are truly blessed. He said, I have been to another time, another place. I've been to the future. People think that they have evolved, but it's really a very, very primitive society. Communication is getting poorer and poorer and poorer. They communicate with one another all the time, but hardly at all. You should be happy that you are so wonderfully endowed with a rich tapestry of communications artifacts. You can speak, you can sing, you can drum, you can tell stories. You're able to communicate the things that are most valuable to your people. You are truly blessed. Master Toastmaster?
Thank you, Toastmaster Norman. Wonderful. And folks, that concludes the first portion of our 3-portion program. We had 3 speakers, so we are going to, first of all, I'm sorry, I should ask Toastmaster Fabiola, did all of our speakers qualify in terms of their speech parameter, or timing parameters?
Yes, they did.
Wonderful, thank you. Okay, with that said, we need to vote for best speaker. Please send your vote to Graham Carnes privately. Make sure you hit Graham's name in the 2 box. And
Mr. Toastmaster, I've actually changed my name to be Vote Counter Graham, so that should make it easier to find.
Ah, very good. Please send your vote for the best speaker to Vote Counter Graham. And just to rehash who our speakers were, we had Dave Carr, our president, with creating a landing page with RSVP Maker, a speaking to inform speech. Toastmaster Viviana giving a technical presentation on marketing funnels. And Toastmaster Norman Dow with his storytelling speech, A Griot's Journey. Please pass your vote over to Graham. And now it is time for the second portion of our program, topics, table topics. Please welcome our topics master, Toastmaster Carmen Bonilla.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster Lou, and greetings to all members and welcome guests. As topics master today, I have selected some topics to ask questions from our fellow Toastmasters and giving members who don't have an assigned speaking role the opportunity to speak. And so, with that being said, I was inspired to ask some questions to get to know more about the fellow Toastmasters. And so, I would like to ask Carol. Carol, I'm curious, what are some of your favorite places for lunch or dinner and why?
My favorite places for lunch and dinner are my home. I love my husband's cooking, and he does all of it. I haven't cooked since we got married, and I'm a very happy woman. He is a very good cook. He makes, like for example, tonight we had lamb with rosemary, and he grilled it, and then he served it with, let's see, what was our vegetable? Oh gosh, tomatoes and one other vegetable. It was delicious, and how could I not like going home for that, right? Now, for lunch, I tend to eat fairly light at the office, and so I might have a granola bar or something like that as I get through the day, and I'll have a couple snacks during the day. I would prefer to eat it at home, with my husband, but I'm at the office, of course, for most of the time. I particularly love going home, though, to have the meals with my husband and to spend some time talking about how the day went and sharing our meals together. It's a beautiful celebration for our day. Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Wonderful. Thank you, Carol. Lucky lady. And so I am curious, Chris, besides Toastmasters, what other professional associations or clubs do you belong to, and what attracted you to them?
Madam Topic Master, what professional clubs besides Toastmasters? Well, I do have to tell a little of my Toastmasters story. I was actually a girl growing up in Anchorage, Alaska in the early 60s. There were no women allowed in Toastmasters, but there was a Toastmistress group. And our local Toastmistress group sponsored kids as a junior Toastmistress. So I have been in Toastmasters since I was 10 years old. And I love this organization. I am a joiner to a certain extent. Here in Fort Lauderdale, I joined a group called Women's Executive Club back in 1983, and I was president of that group and very active, and then webmaster for many, many years. Now that we live primarily on the road and travel the whole country, it's important to have online groups. So this is what we are doing now. We do belong to some RVing associations, one called FMCA, Family Motor Coach, and another one called Escapees. Is that perfect or what? We like to escape. Madam Topic Master.
Wonderful. Who knew there was a Toastmistress club? Huh. All right. And so I'm wondering, do we have any other Toastmasters who would like to participate in this section of the meeting? Deborah, wonderful. Deborah, I'm curious. Do you consider yourself a person oriented to the present or to the future? And why is that orientation important to you?
Thank you, Miss Topic Master. This is really great for me. I always thought outside. And at times I look into the future, but now through meditation, through many life changes, I'm right, boom, in the moment. And it just plays over to coaching and consulting and working and everything else. And when my brain would start, relevating out, I would just have to reel it back in and say, here we are. This is what we're doing. It's absolutely amazing what staying in the present can do to change your life, with relationships, with business, with everything. So especially to start with meditation, if anybody's ready, that's the best way to get rolling with it. Thank you for the question.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I have one last question. Do we have one last volunteer? Jim, wonderful. So I'm curious, Jim, what are some short-term or long-term goals of yours right now?
Great question. Madam Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters. And long-term and short-term, I'm not really sure. Because now we've just become semi-retired. we're just trying that on for size. I think semi-retired is just such a wonderful term. And you don't really have to make plans far in advance, but we tend to. The way we travel and the way that we determine where we're going is by the big conventions that RVers attend. So this past year, we've been in Indianapolis, Indiana, and Syracuse, New York. We're going to be in Perry, Georgia, and Gillette, Wyoming. So those are my long-term. My goals are just to get there and to get my wife there with me, because she does all the work. All I do is drive. Madam Table Topics Master.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing, Jim. Wonderful. So we have had 4 participants in the table topics section. Now we had Carol, we had Deborah, we had Chris, and Jim. Please vote for the best table topic directly with our vote counter, Graham. And now back to you, Mr. Toastmaster Lou.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Carmen. Excellent job with table topics. I enjoyed it very much. By the way, are there any new member speeches that need to take place, Toastmaster Lois? Okay, thank you. So we will proceed directly to evaluations. We are right on time. Wonderful. Evaluating Toastmaster Dave Carr's speech is Toastmaster Scott Johnston. And by the way, timing is the same for all 3 evaluators. Toastmaster Fabiola, please give us the timing sequence for all 3 evaluators.
The timing sequence will be at 2 minutes, the red one, at 2 minutes 30, the yellow, and at 3 minutes, the red one.
Thank you, Toastmaster Fabiola. Evaluating Toastmaster Dave is Toastmaster Scott Johnston. Please welcome Toastmaster Johnston.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster of the day. Well, we had a very intriguing speech by David, one that I really enjoyed. I think that David did achieve his objectives, a demonstration talk, and it was a difficult one for David because technical speech is always very difficult. But I think David did an excellent job. He has that sort of that aurora around him that he makes it easy for people to understand. So we all sort of had the opportunity to have a look and see the demonstration, and David demonstrated each section very well indeed. As I said, it's a very difficult one, but having the PowerPoint presentation up, it was quite easy to follow. The one thing I would have liked to see, David, I would have liked to, I know it was only 5 to 7 minutes, but I was just really getting into it by the 7-minute mark. So it's sort of a speech that I think David could have spoken for much longer, and we could have really understand it. For easier for us to understand, I think it would have been nice if David had maybe, I know it's difficult proposition, but if we had maybe a scribe or something that the process could write down, because being a technical and a demonstration, I found it sometimes confusing to follow on. But what was very impressive was the end results. That all those buttons, and it turned out an excellent. So and what the update in RSVP Maker was an excellent thing. So for me, I really enjoyed it. I'm sure that everybody else enjoyed it also. I would just suggest that David maybe just make it a little bit easier for us, because, as I said, extremely hard topic to do. A technical speech is always hard to do, and I think if we had a better understanding, I guess, to how we might have seen it, I think it would have been much better. But to David, I really admire your taking on this role, a technical speech, very difficult indeed. So I really look forward to hearing more of your speeches, David, because I really enjoyed it. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Johnston. Evaluating Toastmaster Viviana's speech on marketing funnels is Toastmaster Christian Ramchurn. Please correct me if I got your last name wrong. Wonderful. Please welcome Toastmaster Christian Ramchurn.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Ladies and gentlemen, do you know what funnel marketing is? Are you ready for it? Viviana, thank you for sharing because I am ready to start with my funnel marketing business. Thank you so much for sharing this intriguing yet very, very interesting message, which actually, if we use it well, and if I use it well, brings in money. Viviana, you started your speech by telling me straight what you're going to tell me. Very well done. And you also engaged me. You asked me questions. Raise my left hand, raise my right hand, raise both hands. And you got me engaged. My blood was flowing. It was pumping. I was like, waiting, what's next? What's next? What's next? And you started with the slides, the amazing slides. They were not hurting my eyes so early in the morning for me, and I got right into them. Your message was simple, yet logical. You had a flow with the triangle with the 6 points, explaining how to have customers, well, prospects get into customers, into loyal customers, and get them buy and buy and buy again. And then you did something which is very, very interesting. You showed me your own page. I really enjoyed that because I was wondering, okay, there's how it's done, but what does the final product look like? And you showed it to me. I understand how 10 to 12 minutes is just too short for this kind of technical presentation because I was waiting for more. How do you actually add an account and so on? How do you get conversion done? All the details, the conversion rate. But your message, you kept it simple for me. What is funnel marketing? Obviously, in any speech, there's always room to improve. And Viviana here, allow me to share 2 recommendations for you that will help you raise the bar in your next delivery. First one, you started off brilliantly. You told me and you engaged me with funnel marketing. And as you went along, as you were getting to the close, you added one more technical item, email marketing. And that was a challenge for me because I was just looking at and getting engaged and listening to funnel marketing. And I had this just near the end, what's email marketing? So what happened to me, I just stopped listening to you. I started thinking for a few seconds about email marketing. That distracted me from your message. So if you wanted me to buy at the end, that didn't really help in your selling message. So my recommendation is to stick to one technical presentation, one technical expression, and don't complicate things for me. My second recommendation is the engagement. You did brilliantly when you started. You engaged me, you asked questions. And then the questions just went down. And I was looking at the different faces and I saw blank looks. Because what was happening, the energy got down and you were not engaging me and the other members with the questions. So my recommendation, keep getting the questions every 2-3 minutes. Feel the pulse of your audience. Nevertheless, great speech, very, very excellent tips about email, about funnel marketing, and you actually do it in your real life. Thank you so much, and over to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Christian. Our final evaluation will be for Norman's speech. Please welcome Toastmaster John Quick evaluating Norman's speech, A Creole's Journey. Toastmaster John Quick.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, especially Norman and all of our guests and members tonight. You told us the story of a time tunnel and Kwame and Chad. Your task tonight was to tell an original story, which you did, and I enjoy very much to hear a story that someone has created on their own. Some interesting words and phrases you used. You gave us a time tunnel. You described Kwame as attentive and quizzical. And there was, emotion-wise, a clear degree of misunderstanding and frustration between both characters as they talked and tried to understand the different ways that they communicate in their cultures. In terms of dialogue, when I first noticed that you used dialogue, you said, "What about storytelling?" in a sort of flabbergasted way, using Kwame's voice. And I think when you were saying that dialogue, you had good use of your voice to convey the emotion. And so that was one of the stronger points that we had there. However, overall, there was not a lot of use of dialogue, but more of narration of the story in general. So if you wanted to use more dialogue to give the characters more life or personality, that would be a way to do it. Then in terms of the basic elements like setting characters' plot conflict, well, you had the two characters and your plot was very clear. You had 300 years in the past, he goes to the future, he goes back to the past. So that was a very clear structure. The setting was not used as much. You could have possibly described more visuals or more feelings, but this was more of a drama, a dialogue, a conversation that could take place in any setting. So therefore, I'm not sure that the setting is the most important thing to emphasize. But the conflict could have been, I think, a bit stronger. Maybe if you would have described some of the gestures or the intensity of the feeling of the characters a little bit more. I don't know if they would stomp or if they're holding their arms out, or they're shrugging or they're sweating, something to make them just a little bit more intense. And then just some other things to think of, hitting all the senses. What does the time tunnel taste like? What does Chad's voice sound like? What does his office look like? Things like that. Or what does Kwame look like? Just to give us a little bit more of a visualization of the situation. Then lastly, the thing that was really good about this speech is the point was very clear, at least to me. Of course, a story can always be interpreted in many ways, but yours, to me, seemed to have the clear message of, although we've gone many years in the future, we have not necessarily evolved in a positive way in terms of our ability to communicate relative to the older times. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster John. Wonderful. That concludes the evaluation portion of our meeting. Toastmaster Fabiola, did all of our evaluators qualify time-wise? And someone's typing. Is that you, John?
That's me.
Yes, they did.
Thank you, John. And I'm
yes,
sorry.
They did.
Wonderful. So if you would all please vote for your favorite evaluator. Toastmaster Scott Johnston, Toastmaster Christian Ramchurn, or Toastmaster John Quick. Please send your vote privately to Vote Counter Graham. Last one on the list. Now, like a tree that is in December deciduously shedding its leaves, we are nearing the end of our meeting with but a few minutes left. Now, before I give the reports on all of our helpers, I'd like to give our general evaluator, Arlene, the opportunity to and ah, though she never does, and possibly use the word of the day. So I'd first like to turn control over to Toastmaster Arlene Jaime, who is our general evaluator.
Okay, the meeting started on time, and Lou, you did a really great job keeping the meeting on track. Perfect timing throughout. We fell a few minutes late here at the end, so I'll speed it up. Just want to mention that the evaluators did a really good job during the evaluation portion of the meeting. I can't talk about the functionaries. One thing that I'm really amazed about this meeting is how much we accomplished in 1 hour. It's truly amazing. It's like we've been all around the world and back. So back to you, Lou.
Thank you, General Evaluator Toastmaster Arlene. Now we are going to get reports from all of our functionaries. first, I think Toastmaster Fabiola already gave us the qualifying time, so you know what, we'll skip. And Jimmy also included them in the chat box. So Toastmaster Fabiola will dispense with your timing report since we are running low on time. Toastmaster, let's go to Toastmaster Lois Margolin with the grammarian report.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day. We had some great uses of language and a couple of statements that maybe could be phrased differently. David, you kept saying click away to instead of click to. Viviana, you said, how does the implementation look like? I think that would have been better. What does the implementation look like? Norman, I love the communicate all the time, but hardly at all, and a tapestry of artifacts. And I'll post a couple of other things in the chat box, but overall, I thought we did great. Thank you.
Thank you, Lois. Very well, and thank you for speeding things up as we are getting low on time. So I'd ask the other functionaries to also be 30 seconds-ish with your reports. The chat monitor, Toastmaster Jim Gold, any interesting news to share?
Well, it's fun watching the chats because people have little asides going on, but you know, people who they're sharing information. So I've been kind of watching it, and I like having two monitors to watch the chat too. Anyway, that's about it.
Oh, the book.
Oh, let's see. There's an John Quick has posted a link to his ebook on storytelling, and David Carr has posted a link to his upcoming webinar. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Jim. Yes, so please make sure you save the chat by clicking, I guess it's save chat in the chat box under the more drop-down box.
Select all and put it somewhere, yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Our watcher today, someone doing double duty, Toastmaster Christian. What did you watch today?
Mr. Toastmaster, I had to watch carefully. I actually was very impressed with the level of presence of our members, and there's always room for improvement, so here are my recommendations. We have a tendency when we are seated to show parts of our body. For example, Graham, I really enjoy your personality. I'd like to see more than your face. I'd like to see the whole upper torso and the hands that actually bring value to your message. A couple of our speakers had a reflection spot here and then here because there was a background with a glass pane or a picture frame, and that could be distracting, so please consider that next time. And I'm doing this on purpose. You can see my glasses, they just distract from my eyes, so they reflect. So let us be aware of how light hits our eyes with our spectacles, but there were good screen presence, and kudos to John Quick, to Arlene, Jamie, and especially to our timer Fabiola, who, thank you for the smile. You bring joy and light to this session. Thank you so much. Over to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Christian. Our counter, Toastmaster Chris, how many ahs and ums and ers do we have? Hopefully few.
You can tell this is an advanced group because, yes, there are very few uhs, but just like a deciduous tree, we need to drop a few leaves here and there. David, I commend you. I did not hear any uhs. I did hear a couple of so's and a couple of extremely long pauses. Jim had one, Fabiola had one, Carmen had one, and one all right. Scott Johnson had 4 ahs, John Quick 2, Lou Brown 2, Norman had 0, and I was really listening. I wanted to point that out. Norman had 0 ahs. Viviana 2 ahs, Carol P 3 ahs, Christian had 2 ahs, and that's it.
Thank you, Toastmaster Chris. Last but not least, our final tally of the Speaker of the Day, Evaluator of the Day, and Table Topics Master of the Day. Drum roll to vote counter Graham. What are the results?
Mr. Toastmaster, the results are the best speaker of the day, and the virtual ribbon goes to Norman. Well done, Norman. The table topics session and the most votes were recorded for Carol P. Well done, Carol. And the evaluation, this has been difficult. I've actually had to go back and recount 3 times to make sure that I've got this right. And the result is that the winner of the best evaluator is Christian. Well done, all of the participants tonight.
Thank you so much, Vote Counter Graham. Now, Mr. President, are you to ask from remarks from our guests, or should I do that? Or do you care?
You can go ahead and do that, Blue.
Okay, very good. Wonderful. I think Dagmara and Omari are the only two guests we have tonight. If I'm wrong, Mr. President, or anyone, please correct me. But Dagmara, would you like to leave us with any comments on tonight's meeting? How much you enjoyed it?
Thank you. First, thank you for having me here today. And first, second thing, you can really tell that this is an advanced club, and I enjoy a lot. And also, I'm very impressed by the fact that you have amazing flow. It's an online meeting, but I don't feel it's different than an offline meeting. I might even say it's better. So it's a wonderful experience, and thank you for having me here today.
Thank you very much for joining us, and we look forward to having you again. Come join us. Omari, please give us some comments, your feedback for tonight's meeting.
Yes, so this meeting was very interesting. I didn't expect people to be from all around the world. It was great. And I want to echo, I think it's Dagmar. Please forgive me if I mispronounced that. But everybody is a very great speaker. I can tell this is an advanced club, and I look forward to the next meeting.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Fantastic.
Excellent. I think everyone else is either an existing member or a returning guest, so we should be okay there. I conclude the meeting and turn it over to our president, Mr. Dave Carr, for final remarks and club news. Mr. President.
Just briefly, let me go over next week's meeting. Is a pretty abbreviated schedule in terms of everything other than the main workshop presentation. And I know people join Toastmasters to do stuff, not to necessarily just sit and listen. So we will get back to some regular meetings for another block. After this one, our next workshop will be in December. But this is something we're also trying to do to distinguish this club and to bring people in. So we have just a couple of roles open for next week. We'll have an odd counter, we'll have a timer, and we'll have a general evaluator. None of those are filled as of now. Can I get volunteers?
I'll take the general evaluator, David.
Fantastic. Other volunteers? Come on, folks. We only have 2 roles to fill. Help me out here, somebody.
All right,
Christian.
I can be timer.
All right.
I'll be accountant.
All right. There we go. Now, I think this is going to be an excellent workshop. I got a chance to attend a couple of other sessions with our presenter, John Hayden. Actually, I went to the weekly Facebook Live program that he does to promote his consulting practice, to engage with his audience. And as part of that, he actually did sort of a door prize drawing that I wound up winning. So I also got to attend his session on how you do advertising on Facebook. And as you know, I talked some of you into giving me a little bit of budget to do some advertising of these workshops. So I'm applying to those techniques to make sure that we get our money's worth. One thing I experimented with is you can take the whole list of people who registered for all your other events or who have engaged for your organization another way. You can upload those email addresses into Facebook and create what's called a custom audience. And the next step beyond that is you can take that and you can create what's called a lookalike audience. So Facebook automatically tries to determine a set of people who are similar to the folks you already know who you haven't connected with yet. So I'm going to give that a try. Also maybe try some campaigns targeted around, say, affiliation with a national speakers organization or association. Excuse me, Carol. So some interesting things there. And John is an excellent presenter. he actually just started using Zoom for his own presentations, and I got to share a couple of helpful tips with that. So, hopefully it's going to be flowing both ways. I hope he'll enjoy being part of our meeting as well. So see you all next week. It's going to be a great session. Make sure that you let people know about it. I'll send out an email with the link to the Facebook post promoting it. And if you are a Facebook user, I would appreciate if you share that so we get a few views that we didn't pay for. All right. Thanks very much. And everybody have a great week.
Thanks, Dave.
All right. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.